and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have a great show as always for you. I'm going to go through a ton of juicy topics, crazy stuff happening. And then I have an exclusive second interview with Rachel Uchitel, who you know is famous from being the mistress of Tiger Woods that really broke that whole scandal. Last night, the series on HBO aired. She was on a little bit last night. She's going to be on the entire episode next Sunday. But I talked about her last week because she was in Page Six, or no, not Page Six, sorry, Daily Mail, for dating another man, and there was some controversy about it, and she wanted to come on and set the record straight. So we got some juice from her, and we're going to have that later in the show, but let's get into what's going on right now. Okay, you guys, this is my Instagram from the weekend, from Friday. I went sailing, and a lot of you were really concerned, as you should be, because Peter, my husband, just became certified as a sailor of sailing boats, and we all went with him. Now, first he asked me to go alone, and I said I would like some witnesses. So I brought the children, and we did survive. If you ever watch below deck sailing, it really is freaky. You really feel like this boat is going to tip over. And I'm like, could this boat tip over? Because all of a sudden, and they keep going, oh, now we're going to do some tacking. And that means like, I don't know, pull a rope, and then the sail goes, and then just everybody just leans way over. And I'm not really that into the sailing boat. He's going to take another class so we can go on a boat that's more like a catamaran, more of like a layout, have champagne type of sailboat, which is definitely more my speed. But I posted it, and now some of my friends want him to be the captain and take us places. And I just am like, I don't know about that. Anyway, I survived. We got to play below deck sailing, and I pretended. So if you guys are not on my Instagram, you're really missing out on life, at Heather McDonald. Okay, you guys, the biggest news. The amount of people that wrote me about this, and I was shaking when I saw the news, but Sex in the City is coming back in an HBO series. You know, as much as I talked about what would happen about Sex in the City movie 3, which didn't happen because Kim Cattrall stopped it in pre-production, I didn't really explore what I thought 7 years of a series about Sex in the City would be. And it is just with Miranda, Charlotte, and Carrie. Kim Cattrall's character, Samantha, is not going to be part of it. So a lot of people are speculating, do they address her? Do they act like she just moved away? Is she dead? How did she die? And as Kim Cattrall, I will say, so you're doing a little show without me, are you, girls? Well, good luck with that. New York is not nearly as fun since the pandemic. Ugh. My vagina's drier than a wheat toast at a... I did not plan a whole thing about this. I just thought of her being like, they're definitely not going to have... This is what they're going to have. They're not going to have Samantha. No, you're not, honey, okay? Ever since I went on that horrible trip to Abu Dhabi in my punani, I had to get some hummus just to keep my clits wet. No, she's done. She's out. And my prediction is they are either going to have a fourth woman who's going to be a little bit younger and a woman of color, not the typical background story that they have, or they're going to have like a guy or a gay guy or someone who's like a man who's married, that's their best friend. Now, we always did have their gay best friends. We had Stanford, who I told you I did a show with, and found out that in real life Stanford is straight as can be, which was super disappointing. So we're definitely going to have some gay best friends in this. But the question is, do they get a fourth girl, or do they just focus on the three of them? I really don't know, but this is what I have said in the past. Now, ironically, this is crazy ironic. I texted Chris Noth over the weekend. Chris Noth, as you know, is Mr. Big. I met Mr. Big when I was hosting a jewelry event in Vegas, and I think the company honestly paid him and like the Smirnoff girl that dances on Dancing with the Stars, and also the guy in Sex and the City that in the movie that Samantha was hot for. Remember when she'd eat the guacamole and she'd be like, I'm so horny. I can't stand it. You expect me to see this guy in Malibu rubbing his perfect abs and me not to rub one out on myself? That guy, we all went to dinner after, and I was doing my Kim Cattrall impression for Chris Noth, and he thought I was very funny. So then I got invited to a couple of his Christmas parties, and then I asked him to be on Juicy Scoop about 3 or 4 years ago, and he was very upset about Trump being elected, and he wanted to talk about that. And I said, okay, but I really would rather just talk about you being Mr. Big. And he's like, and he kind of got a little grumpy, and he's like, what time am I supposed to meet you there? And this is when I was recording on Sunset across from the Boa Steakhouse at Doheny. And he was coming from Studio City or Sherman Oaks. And I was like, 3 o'clock. And he's like, ugh, I mean, it's the worst traffic. And then I just said, you know what, Chris, let's just put a pin in it until you're like, I don't know, in a better mood. So I'm at this thing this weekend, which I was completely by myself outside. It's this place in Malibu that I can just look out at the ocean. I'll get more into it. But anyway, it's outside. I'm by myself. And this guy who was recovering from COVID, who owns it, was sitting across from me, and we were talking, and he mentioned that he's friends with Chris Noth, and then he was texting him right now, and he's working in New York. And I go, oh, well, please tell him that Heather McDonald says hi. And then we talk a little longer, and he goes, oh, he doesn't know who you are. So then I got out my phone, and I texted Chris. I'm like, hey, Mr. Big, it's Heather McDonald, the comedian. I did the Kim Cattrall impression. I went to your Christmas parties. And he wrote back, and he goes, geez, that was 4 years ago. I don't remember anything. Of course I remember you, but I didn't remember. He's like, I didn't remember the name. Anyway. Another reason that Chris Noth got mad at me and probably dumped me as a fake Hollywood friend is because I was so stupid that when I was rewriting the script at the Christmas party for him and a bunch of people, I said that he should die because then Carrie could be single. And I said, you have a heart condition, so you drop dead. And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, I don't want to be written out of this thing. Anyway, I'm saying it right now to my buddy Chris. I don't want you dead at all. We have 7 years for you guys to break up, separate, screw other people. Most HBO series, they do a 7-year series commitment. And mostly when people go and pitch the show, they basically say what's going to happen in every year. Okay, so we have a lot of places to go with this. So I would like to see it starting with Chris still alive, Carrie's husband. And I think it starts out with them kind of having the best marriage, okay? Because now Miranda and Charlotte's kids are teenagers or preteens. And they're just not, it's hard. Now they've been married a while. The kids are troublesome. They're worried about the kids doing TikTok. They've been home for a year, not having any socialization. So I think that we see Charlotte's perfect marriage struggling because she's struggling with teenagers. Maybe we'll see the daughter that she adopted who's Asian, being very different from the biological daughter, which I think could be kind of a really fun thing to explore and be realistic about in a family like that. And Miranda, she has got to be gay. Please let Miranda be gay. Let her and Steve have gotten divorced. I take it back. I want to see her lesbian outing happen on the show first season. So she's with Steve. Their marriage hasn't been good for a while. And we see her meeting a woman, dating a woman, the whole thing. Then with the woman getting divorced, then she can have several different, maybe like 2 or 3 lesbian lovers throughout the 7 years. So Charlotte will struggle with her kids a little bit. And her husband, Charlotte will definitely cheat on the husband. It will not be the husband cheating on her. Charlotte will cheat on her husband and have that guilt, and one of the daughters will find out. And one of the daughters will have to keep her secret about the cheating for the good of the whole family, and that it was just, something that Charlotte didn't even care about this guy. And then Carrie, it'll start out like Carrie can't believe that like her life is the best. Being childless and married, she is the happiest. She does not have stress about her kids getting in a car and getting in a car accident or getting pregnant or being a drug addict or being bullied. It's just her and Chris Noth, Mr. Big, and they're really enjoying life. That's how the first season's going to start. And then right at the end, there's going to be trouble in paradise there. I'm so freaking excited for this. Bring back New York shooting, bring back the glam, everything. Can't wait. Thank you, everybody. Well, you can thank me, because if I'd done that shitty movie, we wouldn't have a series. So you're welcome, Heather McDonald. Thank you, Kim Cattrall. Okay, these shirts are being sold, and I saw it, and I had to share it. It's so weird. It is a shirt. It's so long. First of all, who's going to stop and read this paragraph? But I saw it on a sponsored Facebook ad, and then I put it on Instagram, and then so the first one we've seen, I guess there's a few of them, is, yes, this is your boyfriend wears this shirt, and this is what it says on it. Yes, I'm a spoiled boyfriend, but not yours. I am the property of a freaking awesome girlfriend. She is a bit crazy and scares me sometimes, but she is a perfect mixture of sunshine and hurricane. I love her so much, and she is my life. If you mess with me, and she'll destroy you faster than a Category 5 hurricane. Yes, she bought this shirt. So people were saying, what if a girl wore this shirt? What if it was like, don't look at me, my boyfriend, and then someone said there is one. Now, as far as this one goes, it's just awful. First of all, then I thought, well, what if your boyfriend's not hot and he really went out and wore it? Like, he's missing teeth, he's really out of shape, it's not even white, it's kind of dirty. And it's like, don't mess with me. And everybody's like, like I always remember seeing this girl, and she was not cute, and she was, kind of sloppy and not very healthy looking. And she had like, yeah, you wish you were my boyfriend. It's like, no, maybe I don't. All these shirts that are just like overly weird and confident. So I'm like, so basically this shirt is saying like, I'm so hot, you'll probably want to hit on me. And my girlfriend doesn't trust me, so I'm warning you now not to hit on me, because my dick will absolutely slip and fall into your vagina. So she made me this shirt, and she does everything for me, and I better appreciate her, because every day she is stressed out when I leave the home that I will go fall inside of a vagina. So the shirt is just everything wrong with it. I assume anybody that's buying it is buying it as a gag gift, and their husband or boyfriend is not really going to wear it. Now, someone said there is a girl version, which I did not find. So I guess the girl would have a shirt that was like, yes, I'm a spoiled girlfriend, but, I'm my boyfriend's, and he's amazing. And, I assume it's the same. But there's this one, too. Yes, I'm a stubborn son, but not yours. I am the property of a frickin' awesome mom. She's a bit crazy and scares me sometimes. Mess with me, and the beast in her will awake, and they'll never find your body. Yes, she bought me this shirt. That's the mother version. So I guess, I don't know why they're saying stubborn son. So I don't know if this is to ward off bullies, women, gay men. I don't know what this is about. But again, it's just kind of bizarre. But hey, we're talking about it, so I think probably people are buying it as a gag gift. Look, I'll put my kids in videos. I'll make them pretend to be the Bachelor. I will jump on my son and do a toddler jump. I will act like they are the crew of Below Deck, but I would not make them wear this shirt. I draw the line at a certain thing as a mother. Speaking of the toddler jump, I have this right now on my YouTube page, but poor Claire, who is the bachelorette that left after 4 episodes with hot, tall Dale, she went to go do a toddler jump, and he lifted her up and hit her head on the hard ceiling, and I guess she survived, but and then she goes, you did that on purpose, and she hits him. And I don't know, there's a lot of interaction between them that I am a little bit concerned about. One, that he did that is kind of funny, but also kind of dumb. No, I don't think he did on purpose, which is even a little bit sadder. And then that she hit him so hard. And I've seen them do also interviews where she's like, stop it. Let me finish talking. God, you guys, this one over here. And so we'll see what happens with them. Okay, so the rumor that went crazy last week, that was Kim and Kanye's divorce might be in part because Kanye might have been having a romantic relationship with Jeffree Star, the male fashion beauty guru guy. And it came out because this very famous TikToker just did a TikTok about it, one of those green screen TikToks, like, hey, I heard from a lawyer, very good source, that the reason Kim's divorcing him is because he's with Jeffree Star. I talked about it, not believing it. Then the next morning, Jeffree Star woke up in his Wyoming mansion and was like, oh, he does this like YouTube video. And he's like, oh my God, girl, come on in. I've got glam here. We're going to talk about what's going on my phone. Oh my gosh. Ugh, what? Ugh, I can't take it. I can't take it. Ugh, these rumors, Kanye West, honey. And so he said, no, it's not true. But then people were saying, the reason why this story, this fake rumor, which then the TikToker girl admitted to it, that she says made it up one night when she was drunk. The reason this rumor might have had some legs, which it did a little bit, is because back in 2017, there was a rumor, that Kanye was involved with Amanda Lepore, who's like a transgender nightlife kind of icon. And very pretty, very voluptuous transgender woman with, blonde hair and, lots of makeup. And the rumor started because she wrote a book called Doll Parts. And in it, she said, I had sex with a rapper who then went on to marry a girl who had a very similar body to mine. And, Amanda Lepore is very booby and I guess very voluptuous. And of course, so is Kim Kardashian. So people thought it was Kanye. And then they also thought it might be Kanye because who is Kylie's baby daddy again? Travis Scott, I guess, was doing an album and he had a bunch of kind of icon models and stuff on it. And Amanda Lepore was supposed to be on that album cover and then was removed. And they said, oh, we removed you because you were so stunning. You were taking away from the other people on the album. But other people thought it might have been because Kanye went to Travis Scott at a Kardashian cookout and said, hey, I have a problem with this girl who said this about me because maybe it might have had some truth. I don't know. So that is why that rumor, I think, had a little bit of legs. But everyone's denied the Jeffree Star rumor. Now, also interesting, so here was them. And then also interesting is that the Jeffree Star and Amanda Lepore kind of looks like Joyce Bonelli, who was the former makeup artist of Kim Kardashian's. Then she was Erika Jayne's. We know she's not doing her makeup anymore. Now she's kind of become her own. I mean, she's huge on Instagram. She's become very voluptuous, very sexy videos. And she also has, I think, her own line of makeup coming out. So there was some question of why did that friendship break up? Was there something going on there? I don't know. That's just people speculating. So then Kim did a video that went viral where it was the last day of shooting of the Kardashians on the E! Show before they go on to Hulu. And she's like, this is it, guys. We're done. Last day of shooting ever. And it kind of pans over and it's like a couple big guys, with their cameras and their cargo shorts and big black T-shirts, which is what every cameraman wears in LA. And some people were speculating, okay, does that mean that this Hulu deal is really going to be them producing and we're not going to see them shaking up salads and looking at their phones, sitting on their white couches and looking at their organized cookies? I don't know. But one of my favorite Instagram accounts to follow is Norris's Black Book, which is a parody account. Sorry, what did I say? Oh, sorry, North. Did I say North? Nori's Black Book, okay, is the Instagram account. It's hilarious. So what this person does, and we don't know who this person is this person will take something that one of them posts and then give it from what they think Nori's point of view is. So they wrote, "Yep, that's a wrap. To the crew, you have become like family over these years, and I'm going to miss you all. Please keep in touch." And by that, I mean just email the Malikas a line or two on how you're doing once a year. No, I won't be responding. This isn't a goodbye. More like if I see you again, I'll probably act like we never met. So funny. But no, of course, she's not going to be like keeping in touch with the crew. With the Watchers is what I remember they said on an Oprah magazine that the children of the Kardashians would call them the Watchers, or Mason would. Anyway, so we don't know. We don't know what this Hulu deal will be. You know, will it be a bunch of shows that they're producing? Will it be more of them doing stuff on their own? I don't know. But or will they do that for a while and then just realize, you know what? This is a lot of work. Like, I think when Khloe did her show, Cocktails and whatever with Khloe, and that was, you know, kind of like a talk show where people would come over and they'd sit around and have drinks with her. I think she realized that was so much harder than just, you know, smacking her lips and going with her long nails on her phone and eating a salad from Health Nut. I mean, so we'll see. Because, I mean, they all have their other things. I mean, Good American is very, very popular. That's Khloe's line of jeans. That's super successful. Obviously, Skims is successful. The makeup, everything. So how much will they really have their hand in these projects? Or will they just go back to just, hey, follow me around? God, that was easier than this. Okay, you guys. Now, this is insane. This happened last night. Armie Hammer, who is the hot, tall babe from, he played the twins in the Facebook movie. He's always getting work. He was in Call Me By Your Name, where he played a guy in the 80s who de-virginizes this gay teenage boy that he's staying with at the house with. It's one of those movies that really fucking turned me on, but also like really disturbing because the kid was only like 17, but I don't know, won a bunch of awards. And I really liked it. And that was the one where then he caught the boy trying to screw a peach. Is the best. Anyway, he's super charming, super cute. Everyone loves him. But unfortunately, he and his wife broke up this year. And they have a couple kids and some bakery or something in Santa Barbara. Well, all of a sudden, Twitter, people were posting screen grabs of a DM conversation that he had with a couple women and making it look like it was from his account. Now, he has not made a statement saying it wasn't. It hasn't been proved that it wasn't, but it hasn't been proved that it's him. But this was what was happening last night. So that is why I'm addressing it. I'm not saying it's true or not, but this is happening in the world, so I'm going to share it. Daily Mail actually wrote about it too. I'm 100% a cannibal. Graphic Instagram DMs allegedly written by Armie Hammer that includes sexual references to cannibalism and rape fantasies trend on Twitter. So some of the things that he's saying to this person is, I'm 100% a cannibal. I want to eat you. That's crazy, scary to admit. I've never admitted that before. I've cut the heart out of a living animal before and eaten it while still warm. Okay. Oh my God. And then if you were next to me, this is all supposedly from Armie Hammer's account. If you were next to me, I'd give you the tiniest cut and then fall back asleep sucking on it. Just a little trickle of your blood, the taste of you, the taste of your iron and minerals, soothing me to sleep. So now he has made some mistakes with social media in the past that we've talked about that Kelly had found and was kind of intrigued by. One, who he follows. He was following a lot of very young, like teenage golf stars. Okay. No, well, I thought it was actually people playing golf. She said it was sexy accounts with like young girls wearing golf outfits. Not young, like 12, but like, hot 20 or whatever. And then there were things that he liked in the past that were bondage tweets that he had liked in the past that had been proven that he liked these, more fetish type of things. I think this is the first stuff of cannibalism we've seen. but apparently, so is this all put together and fake? Very possibly. I don't know. I just went to his Instagram. It's still up. Hasn't posted in a few days, but he's also not addressing this. He's also isn't stopping comments. However, when I looked at it, I was thought there'd be a bunch of comments about this, and it wasn't. So can you keep your comments but stop allowing people to add any? Okay, so I think if you try to leave a comment right now and just see, like on his latest photo, and see if it will go through. I'm just curious what he's going to do about this. Okay. I mean, imagine, that's pretty weird. And they went on, and it was like to this thing, like, it's a very slave and master relationship too with another person, along with the eating. It was like, yes, daddy, when please, and this kind of thing. So, now it's turned off. So you cannot leave a comment under his stuff, yes. So something's going on, and we'll see what he comes out with. And he's got, of course, a bunch of projects in the works. Now, if this proves to be true, where will those projects go? So people are pretty shook by another great episode of The View. They are talking to each other on Zoom still, of course. And Meghan McCain has come back from maternity leave, and she and Joy have always gotten heated about politics, and kind of really about it's bled into other things where she's like, that's your job. Meghan McCain said that to Joy Behar, and people got upset because Joy Behar's like 73 and Meghan McCain is like, I don't know, 33 or something. But so they had a nasty exchange the other day, and Meghan said something like, and I'm sure you've really missed me while I was on maternity leave, Joy. She's kind of being nice, trying to making light of the heated moment they just had. Because, of course, they talk politics, and there hasn't been a more heated year about politics than this last year. So, and Joy goes, no, actually, no, I don't miss you at all, but you would never come back. Don't care, don't like you. And she's like, wow, that's really nasty, Joy. That's just nasty. And that just tells me this show is going to go on forever. I mean, I hope Joy never leaves. I hope Meghan McCain never leaves. This is what makes it like fun. And I'm excited for when they go back and actually sit next to each other so that everyone in the live audience can be cringing. That's my wish. Okay, last night I was watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And you don't have to be watching it to enjoy the story I'm going to tell you. Cynthia Bailey, who's the beautiful model one, she's getting married for the third time. And so she's planning her wedding. And the previous season, the night she was about to get engaged, Kenya, who could be a real asshole sometime, said, I think tonight I have a feeling he's going to ask you to marry him. And Kenya's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Tell her that right now. And you know what's happening tonight. Now it's ruined. She's like, I didn't know it was happening. Well, now it's ruined. So to make up for it, she's like, I'm going to throw her a surprise engagement party. But Candy, you say you're throwing it and just say it's a special night. So they're going to have a dinner where everyone wears white. But it's really not many people. It's just basically the people in the cast and a couple randoms. And in order to, have the ruse go so that she's really surprised, Candy starts the group text and is like, hey, hope you guys are all going to be there. You got to be there on time and wear white. And then Cynthia's like, is it fancy or casual white? No, it's fancy. And then in the group text, to really throw Cynthia off, one of the girls writes, I'm so bummed I can't be there. Tell Biden I said hi. And Cynthia's like, what? Is Biden really coming? Yes, that's why you have to be on time, because obviously she's thinking in her head. So, Secret Service. And then she's like, wait, so Biden's really going to be there? And so now everyone's playing along with it. Yes, Cynthia, Joe Biden is going to be there because he's really trying to get the black female vote. And so she's so excited. So she's not going to be late, right? So they show them in the car with their camera in the car. And she's asking her husband, her fiance, I know, do you think it's okay if I take a picture with him? If we're 6 feet apart, he could stand way behind me and I could just take the photo and wave. And she's all excited. So when she gets there, Only 3 people have arrived because all the other girls are late. So she walks into this like empty room with just like 3 of the cast members and like, an ice sculpture and it was like an hour away too. Everyone had to drive an hour. And she's like, "Hey, are we the first to be here? Like, where are the Secret Service?" Like, oh, and then she was tracking him and seeing where he was. And then the husband was like, "He has a private jet. Even if he's somewhere this morning, he can still be in Atlanta by, 6 o'clock." And she's like, "Oh, that's true. Okay." And and I loved this because then she's like, and they're like, "No, look, the party's really for you. There's a photo of you and the fiance." And she's like, "Oh, so wait, so Joe Biden's not coming. No, Joe Biden's not coming to your surprise engagement party." And I love this because I've talked about this before. If you throw a surprise party for someone, please. Now, you want them to look cute. You want them to be ready for an evening out. You want them to be well rested. You want them to have a killer night if it's like a dinner party. But you do not want them to think that they're going to something better than what you're providing for them. I remember one time we surprised this guy with a party. I was like a guest at it. And they told him he was going to the Playboy Mansion. And so he's so excited. It was like, a night like Midsummer Night's Dream or something. And he thinks they're like, "Get ready, dude. We're going to the Playboy Mansion. We're just going to stop off and get like a cocktail before we go there." And then we're all like waiting at the bar. And he comes in and we're like, "Surprise." And he's like, "Hey." And he still is like, "Oh my God, that's so great. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have a couple drinks here. And then who else is here? Can we get into the Playboy Mansion?" And the guy's like, "No, we're not. We're not going to the Playboy Mansion. This is the party." Also, I went to a surprise 30th birthday for my friend, and I wasn't aware that I think she was already like over her husband. And it was her 30th birthday, so he threw like a really nice dinner party, like much like what she did, like catered, but like in a room. So you had to bring in the food, you had to bring in the waiters, which is even more expensive than if you just went to a restaurant. And it was like, lobster or filet mignon. And it was like, and she flew in from New York and we're in LA. And the mom, he's like, "I want to throw her a party." He's New Yorkie. And she walks in and we're like, "Surprise." And you could just see on her face, like adding up how much this cost. And we're in the bathroom and she's like, "I'm so fucking pissed. I'm so pissed at his name. I told him what I wanted for my birthday was to go to Hawaii. So now what? Now we don't have money to go to Hawaii because we were like spent $10,000 on this party." And we're like, "Sorry that I enjoyed my steak." Like it just was. In some ways, I've always wanted a surprise party, never had one because I think it might be so great. Because whenever I throw a party, I get so sensitive about people flaking or not being able to come or making sure it's nice enough or not, And so I was always like, God, if someone could just throw me a party and I just show up and I'm cute and who's ever there is there and I don't have to hear about the person that, decided not to come or flaked at 5 o'clock as I was doing my makeup and is calling me. And then you realize 5 people have flaked and you only invited 10 and now you're like feeling like a loser. So I love the idea behind a surprise party, but if you ever throw one, that's my tip for you. You just say, "Hey, okay, let's say it's your girlfriend's, 40th birthday party and the husband's throwing her a party." This is what you say. You say, "Hey, I want to celebrate my husband's promotion. So we really want to treat you and your husband to dinner. And, so that way they won't get out of it because you're like, we're treating and we want to invite you to dinner." So then the girl looks cute. She thinks she's going to something for you, but that isn't that great. It's just a dinner for 4 people at like a cool restaurant. And then you go to the restaurant and surprise. And then it's like a real fun night for her. That's my advice to you. So our girl Stassi had her baby. Stassi from Vanderpump Rules. And name is super cute. Hartford Charlie Rose. However, there were some jokes on the internet about it because Charlie Rose, which is the 2 middle names, is an American television journalist, much older man. He was on PBS. and he was also a talk show host from 1991 to 2017, and but he was I think he got removed. Can you check? But I think he had some sexual misconduct. So the question was, I don't think Charlie Rose is this big of a name that they're going to change it. But when Amy Schumer named her child, what was her child's name?
Yeah, he sexually harassed.
Oh, he
Allegedly.
allegedly sexually harassed some people, this old fart, and so he had to go. But so then people were doing like funny memes like Hartford, Matt Lauer, Hartford, like all these other famous journalists. And then but then we're like, would she change the name? I don't think he's that famous enough. I still think it sounds pretty cute, Hartford Charlie Rose. I would never have thought of Charlie Rose. But Amy Schumer did change her child's name because it was
Gina
Gina Tell, which because Jean, Jene, and then Attell because she wanted the middle name to be after her friend Dave Attell, the comedian. And so then people were like, Gina Tell, Jenna Tell. But she did change it, but not for months. Then she changed it to Jean David. So she still still after Dave Attell, but switched it with his first name, which really is hilarious. And everyone thought she did it on purpose and it was a joke and they couldn't believe that. And I really, really don't think anyone thought of it because I think if you saw it written out, it doesn't look like the word genitals, but then genital, anyway. So the pretty mess, you guys, our girl Erika Jayne. Well, today, I guess they are saying that the two properties, which is the Pasadena house and something else, is being set to be sold. And so if they're in there, if Tom Girardi's still living there, I'm pretty sure she no longer lives there. She lives in some apartment or condo. They will be evicted. He cannot live there anymore. It will have to be sold. Or maybe he can stay until it's sold. Anyway, she posted this on Instagram. She's really having fun. You know, she posted also a photo of her holding the Chicago playbill and said, meta, meta. You know, like, oh, this is so true to life. And people are like, what do you mean? Your character, Roxy Hart, went to jail for killing her husband. So are you saying this is life imitating art, like you're going to kill your husband? So she's kind of like winking and playing around with this and never addressing it really head on. So, of course, she posted some really super hot photo of herself and she wrote, thinking of making this my online dating profile pic. Thoughts? And is she going to be dating now? And how is she going to handle this? We were talking, and she's obviously not going to have the glam squad with her this season as they're filming Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And my question is, would Dorit share her glam squad with Erika Jayne? Is there going to be a moment where Dorit goes, PK, honey, you know my dear friend Erika Jayne is going through a bit of the legal mumbo jumbo, and I feel so terrible for her. And I was wondering, do you mind if she comes over about an hour earlier than our event so that she can dip into the glam squad's chair, mind you? Phoenix and Jagger, they said they wouldn't mind. Would you mind, PK? Well, thanks, Dorit. I never really liked you. We had that whole Pantygate thing happen, but hell, when you need someone to beat your face and your glam squad doesn't have a paycheck, it's nice to go over to your girl Dorit's house and get this face glammed up. It's expensive to be me. I wonder about that. Also, a lot of people have been writing me where they're watching old episodes of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I had mentioned that whenever I saw that Pasadena house, I felt it was very dated, very 90s, not really her style. And I thought, that's interesting that she never spends any money on kind of updating that house. And someone brought up the fact that one of the first scenes when she enters the show is her going around the backyard and wanting to get some deferred maintenance done with him and asking if we could do that. And then some really expensive, like famous landscape artist did some work there. But still, the interior of the house was not ever updated. And that made me wonder, was she just really kind of selfish and only wanted to spend money on herself and not beautify the home she lives in? Or she really didn't give a shit because she's like, Or I don't know. I just always thought that was kind of a weird thing. Um, let's see, what else? Again, is she gonna have an OnlyFans? When's that gonna happen? And if she went on a dating site, would she be dating young guys? I think she's gonna date some young. Well, look, she's not gonna get kicked off Housewives. No fucking way. She's gonna say, I didn't know. I feel terrible. And you know what? I came from nothing and I became something. And if I have nothing again, I'll become something again. But you know what? I never stop being something. I am something, and that's the pretty best. I think that she will date like a bunch of hot guys, which would be great storylines for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then I think she will be able to catch some old rich man again. I really do. I have it on my vision board that she is going to get another old rich man. So we'll see that happen. Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rosdale were granted an annulment in the Catholic Church. And this was in my Facebook group, Juicy Scoop Obsessed. We have a lot of Catholics, as I am. A lot of people asking, how can that be? I thought it was so hard to get. Did they pay? A lot of people answered questions. I know people have gotten annulments. It's not easy. It does take approximately 18 months. And you have to prove that there was some type of fraud that happened. So or infidelity, meaning the fraud was, I promised to be faithful and I wasn't. That is all it really has to be. It could be that you promised to, be a sexual couple and then maybe one person is refusing to have sex. It could also be that you married someone that was, psychologically impaired. And it doesn't matter if you had a bunch of kids because they're like, well, then do these kids not exist? No, the kids are unaffected. So the 3 kids are still recognized in the church, still, as well Catholic. And so obviously they think, she's fixing to get remarried in the Catholic Church to Blake Shelton. And yeah, he cheated. It was proof that he cheated. He cheated with the nanny. If you remember this story, he cheated with their nanny. And there were photos of him and the nanny out in her hand-me-down clothes. So, she kind of cleaned out her closet and was like, oh, here's some clothes to my cute nanny. And then the girl would wear the old Gwen Stefani clothes while she was fucking her husband. So anyway, Gwen Stefani, who's freaking ageless, is as cute as can be and in love with Blake Shelton, and they're just adorable, and they're going to get married in the church. Every other week on the tabloids, it's like she's pregnant with a baby girl. She's going to have a girl. I don't think she is going to give birth. I really don't. But who knows if she I doubt she had a frozen egg. I think she'd have to get an egg from someone else because she is 50 or right around the corner. She's certainly fit enough to carry a baby, so she might get a baby an egg that looks like her. I mean, from a woman that has an egg that, like, you pick a woman that kind of looks like you, and then you get the Blake Shelton sperm, and then you carry that baby, and then you could also spin it to make it the girl, and then she could have the baby. You know what? I really think she should. Why not? Why not give Blake Shelton one baby? But I also feel like Blake Shelton doesn't give a shit. Like, he's like, I'm good. He doesn't have biological kids of his own. He's done just fine. He likes to have his drinks. He has these 3 boys that are like totally fun that he's into. But I kind of love that she is going to get married in the Catholic Church again. That's what I think. Otherwise, you wouldn't go through this process. Also, it's not a money thing. This isn't like the 1400s where people paid. It costs anywhere from $400 to $1,000 to get an annulment because of just taking the time of people to read over your stuff. But it does take a couple years. I had a friend who got an annulment because it was so weird. She dated this guy for a while. They got married. And the minute they went on their honeymoon, he seriously changed. He was like psychologically terrorizing her. She'd talk to her mom on the phone, and then he'd be like, how long were you on the phone with your mom for? She'd be like, I don't know, like a half hour. Why? What's wrong? All right, now you're going to call my mother, and you're going to talk to her for a half hour. Call her up. And she's like, well, why? Like, it's my mom. I said, call my mother and talk to her for a half hour. That was on the honeymoon. So right away, she knew something was up, and they were very Catholic, and her parents were, very tied into the church. So right away. She did separate from him, and then of course she was granted a annulment and then got remarried. So kind of interesting. All right, you guys. I had a great email that happened, a little comment from Erika, who is a Juicy Scooper and new Patreon member, and she wrote me on Patreon and just said, "Oh my God, I moved to a new neighborhood and my neighbor saw me walking and said, 'Oh, what podcast do you like?' And I said, 'Juicy Scoop.' And so did she. And now we're fast friends." And so I thought, you know what, you guys? Share Juicy Scoop. If you can't publicly go out because of the pandemic, tell someone on social media, share this, this video, share this podcast episode. So the point is, you guys, spread the word of Juicy Scoop. Do your Christian service. Not only will you brighten someone's day, but you might really make a real connection. The other part was Sarah, who was on my show a couple weeks ago, the author, she put on her Facebook page that she had no idea how many of her personal friends listened to Juicy Scoop until she became a guest on the show, and she heard from people from all over. So I really love to hear that, but I also think you can really make some real connections with some people that you had no idea would be down to talk about the fun shit that we talk about on Juicy Scoop. So the only way you can know is by sharing the podcast Juicy Scoop on your social media and let a friend know and watch your world change. And of course, if you want to join Patreon, you just go to heathermcdonald.net, click on Patreon, and join all that awesome content that you've been missing out on. Okay, you guys, now for the latest with our girl, Rachel Uchitel. So I'm so excited that I'm talking to the actual Rachel, and Rachel Uchitel. I'm saying your name right? Or am I not saying it right? What is it?
It's Uchitel. It's like
Okay.
you can
Rachel Uchitel.
Uchitel.
Is that how I say it? Say it one more time. You just say it.
Uchitel.
Okay. We are talking to Rachel. Rachel U is all I'm going to say. So I'm really glad that I have you on. I just want to preference by saying I report on all the hot topics. So the Daily Mail story about you and your new love interest came out, and I did talk about it, and I want to apologize because I should have reached out to you first, but I'm really glad you reached out to me today because I want to hear the scoop from you. But everybody, before I say that, everybody's really excited about the documentary that you're on HBO. It starts on January 10th, the Tiger Woods documentary. And is it January 17th, like the second episode, that you're more featured, or explain a little about that?
Yes. So I'm in the end of this one on Sunday, on the 10th, and then I'm mostly in the second one.
Okay. Yeah. So give us your side of the scoop of the Daily Mail article that reported that you were seeing this guy who is staying with you. This is what they say, staying with you in Palm Beach, and he is separated from his wife. But the article was written in a way that appeared like, did you, in fact, break up a happy home?
Yeah. So for the people that haven't read it, it said something like, he left his wife and children and flew across the country and shipped his car and started a life with me in Palm Beach with me and my daughter. So the thing that really gets me here is that I have no magical powers to keep making these men leave their wives and do such things in extremes to do that. So that is crazy, number one. Number two, it's offensive, it's defamatory, and it's not only hurtful for the kids involved who are reading this, but it's really disgusting. So I'm really I'm shocked and disgusted that a media outlet would do that. So I'll just start by saying clearly what's going on here is the woman involved, simply put, is trying to humiliate her estranged husband, and has found an easy target, me, as a vehicle to humiliate him. So that's really what's going on. They are going through a divorce, and as you know, divorces can take years.
Right.
They're not. But, and when people are getting divorced, they date other people. And while that's happening, the ex spouse or whatever gets angry. They see that they might be dating other people. They see that they're out with other people. They find people's numbers in their phones. They get pissed. They get jealous. That also can last for years. Even if they're divorced, by the way, that can last for years and they can get really jealous. So I'm not going to get into her head or their relationship or even talk about them really. All I can say is I'm not a mistress. When I met him and started in even a physical kissing relationship with him, he had already filed papers of getting divorced from her and he had already moved out from their marital home. So all she is doing is just getting all hot and heavy about humiliating him in public. And she did it publicly because I'm a public figure. So that's what went on here. So I'm not his mistress. He did not fly across the country and leave his kids and wife for me. They were already dissolving their relationship. So it's really embarrassing for him. Obviously, it's embarrassing for his kids, and it's really unfortunate that she's doing it this way. It's really embarrassing for me and unfortunate for me because I have to be dragged through the mud again with this, branding of my name, which I've tried to stay away from for 10 years, especially while I knew all eyes were going to be on me because this documentary was coming out. And really, I wanted to focus on other things while this documentary came out and be able to talk about the stuff that I'm working on right now and that I'm doing because I knew all eyes were going to be on me. I didn't want to talk about this stupid thing. So it makes me very upset. It makes me really angry at her, to be honest.
Well, that's one of the things I said, and I said when I talked about it, I go, nobody knows when they were separated, when you guys started talking. I mean, exactly what you were saying. I mean, it's very rare that someone would wait till their divorce is completely final to go to a
Right.
singles bar or go on a date. I mean, exactly what you said. So I'm glad you clarified it.
But people just love to hate. They love to hate me. And they love to be like, oh, she's cheating. Oh, she's a mistress, and
Right.
that's really unfair because that's just not the case and that's not what happened. And it's really rare for some man to just up and go across country because they think I have some magical powers. I'm just like you. I'm just like everybody else. That is ridiculous.
I don't think people think you have magical powers, but I think there's certain women that men seem to fall in love with a lot, and I think that you are one of them, and I think it's not a bad thing. It's like an enviable thing. I mean, I feel like you do have something, which is not a bad thing, that you're drop dead gorgeous, but you're interesting and funny. So I do think when you do go on dates with people, they usually fall for you, and that's all.
Well, thank you. I would hope that's the case. Uh,
And there's
but
a lot of people that don't have that kind of track record. So sometimes I think women go, what is it about this? Or someone who's been engaged, 5 times.
yeah,
What is it that, 5 guys said, this woman I've got to spend the rest of my life with? And to other women that have not had that success, I think we're just like, what is it that you can get certain people, So that's all it is. And I think it's just kind of a fun female thing to talk about. But I understand too that you're still a human being and it's still hurtful. And
right.
this is a relationship that obviously you care about and would like to see go further. And this is not great for the situation, I can
Right.
imagine.
I mean, and this poor guy, if he has a normal, stable job in a very reputable company. And can you imagine? I mean, all of a sudden he's a lawyer and the law firm reads stuff like this. They don't want to be associated with this kind of pop culture stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
That's really ridiculous. And I mean, the whole thing is just really unfair, is all I have to say about that situation. Anyway, so, and then we preface it to, have you seen the Tiger doc yet?
Well, how would I have seen it if it comes out January 10th?
Oh, well, because the HBO is releasing it to journalists, we could probably get you
Oh,
a copy.
please get me a copy. I told you we come from a big golfing family. So we're definitely going to be watching it, and then I'm going to be
Oh,
watching it
okay,
for
good.
the juice, obviously. But can I ask one more question about this romance?
Yeah.
So, can you share anything about it? About where you guys are in your relationship?
Um, sure, I guess. I wasn't really going to talk about that. Listen, I am looking for stability. I am, uh, well, coming off of 10 years of instability, right? I'm definitely looking for stability. He is a very nice, stable guy, even though you read that he's not, right? Or whatever, that the
Yeah.
situation is made that it's not. He is, the ironic part about him is he's a very nice family man. And that is definitely what I need in my life. And, I haven't talked to you in a while, but I'm now, I've found some stability in my life, and I've really found some um, that I told you, I think last time that I was on with you, that I started to write a book about my relationships.
Oh,
And I
good.
actually found some interesting, like, uh, a lot of people came to me after I did your show and said, I really hope you write a book, because you're just, that tiger thing is the least interesting thing about you. Like, I find you really interesting. And I decided to really start to work on a book about the relationships that I've had, and found that they were all weaved together by one common bond, and that was that I was drawn to them by an addiction to love, which I really found out through my stint on celebrity rehab. And so I have signed up to work with Transcend Recovery, which really works with process addiction, and really talks about, you don't need to have the stigma of just being a love addict. I mean, excuse me, an addict with being involved in some sort of a drug addiction, like an alcohol addiction or a cocaine addiction or whatever it is. But a process addiction means you can't get through your work or your parenting or your day, because something is preventing you from staying on your path. And a lot of that has to do with the trauma that you went through as a kid, and something is really preventing you from getting through life. And a lot of that has to do with relationships, and for me, that was love addiction. And so I really have been working with people, and with doing speeches, and with really touching people about trauma and relationships and love addiction. And so for me, I've really been working on the relationships that I've been having. And so with him, I have found a really nice place of stability, and he's a really great guy. So that's all I want to say about him. And so this news has come at a time that just creates a lot of instability,
Right.
uh, but it hasn't affected us at all, which shows how stable he is.
Well, I wanted to say I was with Dr. Drew. He's a good friend of mine, as I mentioned before, and we were talking, and I mentioned you, that you were on my show, and he said, "Wow, she is a really interesting person, but boy, has she gone through some severe trauma." And
Mhm.
so I'm glad that you will be revealing more of that in your book, and it will be, something that hopefully people can relate to their own lives and use the tools, and um, because it's stuff that we didn't really discuss, and if you did discuss it on that show 10 years ago, I don't think anyone remembers. And again, I agree with my listeners that the Tiger Woods thing was the least interesting thing about you, which why your interview was so intriguing to my audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so great. So you're working on that. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
Um, no, just that I think that people will find the show very interesting. I hope that you can get a copy beforehand so that you can watch it. And just that the people that have seen it have really um, said that they were, in terms of me, they were really taken aback with the fact that the media seems to have, it was clear to them that the media blamed me for Tiger's
Downfall?
downfall.
Yeah.
Well, no, they blamed me for his embarrassment
Oh,
of of his wife. His choices of making a mockery of of all the things that he was doing, they chose to blame me for him,
Right.
for his choices, and instead of blaming him, I got to be the one that they put all their anger out on. And that was like very clear in the way that it all came about 10 years ago, instead of really blaming the right person. And I kind of was happy that that finally got taken notice of, because I felt like for the last 10 years, it's been, no one's ever taken responsibility of that, because I've felt that, and I've still felt the branding of the media stay with me. And it's not like anyone's going to ever apologize for it, but the branding has always stayed with me and it's never let go of. And so I felt like I had to speak and finally take the shackles off of like my voice, to have the time to actually tell my story once and for all, to get it out in the absence of truth. And that was the reason why I did it on the HBO show, because otherwise it was going to continue with people just having their opinions and using those words to represent me, and I needed to finally do it for myself.
Well, I'm really glad that we got to talk and we could clear this up. And I wish your new boyfriend goodness, his ex-wife and kid, everyone just move on. And I'm excited to watch the documentary. And your dog looks cute. We did see a photo of him walking the dog.
Yes, the dog got some good shots.
The dog is hiring a publicist. The dog is like, please stop
I
taking
know.
photos of me.
He looked very perky.
Yeah. I was actually out with my dog, and when people have, and I know you've experienced this, where someone recognizes you, but they're not going to ask for a photo, so they're like secretly taking a photo of you. I'm sure you've had that happen, right? And you kind of know it, and you're like, do I say anything, or do I just try to like look aside and look cute? I've had people do that with my dog, where I saw this guy go, is that like a little wolf? And then I'm like, what are you going to do with this picture later? Like, this is kind of creepy. And I'm like, you're not taking a photo of me. You're literally just taking a picture of my dog. Like, that is so funny. So, your dog's a star. Well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for doing this last minute thing. I'm glad that we talked, and I'm glad we got you back on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. And anytime something comes out about me, just know you
I'm
can
just going to
reach
contact
out
you
and
right
ask
off the
me.
bat. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.